Hello, my name is Paul Cooper. I have been a reader and collector of science fiction and fantasy for over 50 years. This is my first booktube video, so I will be referring to notes, and apologies for any errors because I will be doing this as a single take. I am not a techie and I've not yet tried to consider editing. This first video will be about VGSF paperbacks. I started collecting these about 15 years ago, and I now feel I have the complete run, and I would like to put my research into the public domain. What do I mean by VGSF paperbacks? I mean all paperbacks with this logo on the bottom of the spine. There are 211 with this logo, 210 have this colour combination, and one has the red and yellow reversed. What I will not be covering are the VGSF classics. There are arguments to say they are part of the VGSF imprint, and also arguments that they are not. However, they are well documented, and so I will not be including them in this video except in passing. So why did I decide to collect VGSF paperbacks? I mean, I started about 15 years ago and I was looking for a new area to collect, and I realised that VGSF would have great shelf appeal, just as people who collect doors or people who collect, say, the Venture SF would realise there's great shelf appeal for having a set with a uniform appearance on the shelf. Why am I doing this video? Firstly, because there is no complete list of VGSF paperbacks in the public domain that I am aware of. So another reason is when I was collecting Pocket Timescape paperbacks, I benefited from the research that had been carried out by Marty Halpin, who is an SF editor in the States, and he provided me with his spreadsheet with all the information on Pocket Timescapes free of charge, free gratis. So in a way, I would like to pay that forward by providing the same information for VGSF paperbacks. Because there was no list in the public domain, I had to research to try and complete the full list. How did I research? Basically, pretty much every month for 4 years, I would check everything that was listed on Bookfinder that had VGSF as a keyword. I did a similar search on eBay, searching everything that had VGSF as a keyword. I also had a look at the ISFDB, but that was not particularly useful, and I'll explain why. As far as I'm aware, all the VGSF paperbacks are listed, but they are listed under 4 different publishers. They are listed as VGSF, They are listed as VGSF Gollancz. They are listed as VGSF Victor Gollancz. And then I think it's 14 are listed as Gollancz paperbacks. So if anyone wants to use the ISFDB as its reference source, they will find it not that useful. Right. The other thing I did in preparing for this video was to try and look at how the VGSF paperbacks fit into Gollancz paperback history. So, excuse me while I look at my notes. As far as I know, Victor Gollancz started in, or was formed in 1927, but it published very little that could be described as science fiction or fantasy before the late 50s. In 1960 or 61, they started publishing science fiction, and I suspect most collectors will be aware of the Gollancz hardbacks with the famous yellow dust jackets. Now, obviously there were some famous books published in hardback by Gollancz, and I did a little bit of research to see where the first paperbacks were published in the UK, and they all seem to be published under different imprints, none directly related to Gollancz. I do not know why. It is possible that Gollancz only bought the rights to publish the hardbacks and that other publishers bought the rights to publish paperbacks. It is possible Gollancz bought the rights for the paperbacks and either published under a different imprint or sold the rights to another publisher to publish the paperbacks. I don't know. I never studied publishing history. If someone knows the answer, they may wish to put that in the comments, but I do not know. So, not being able to see any early Gollancz paperbacks, I looked to see what I thought would be the first SF paperback. And the first one I could identify was Best Science Fiction of the Year, number 13, edited by Terry Carr. That was a B format paperback, and I do not have a copy, so I cannot show you. The second one that I traced was the next one in that series, number 14. Again, B format, and I do not have a copy. The third book that I could identify as being published by Gollancz was this one. This is a B format and is number 1 of the Gollancz Classic SF. Now, I didn't collect these, but I have number 2 as well, if anyone's interested. But I think I've only got about one more. So, the Gollancz Classic SF ran to 20 numbered issues. They ran from March 86 to December 87. And I don't think I mentioned the dates for the Best Science Fiction of the Year. The first one was printed in 1984 and the second one in 1985. And they did also print the following two, numbers 15 and 16, in the following years. And that was the end of that series. No more were produced or published anywhere. Right. Gollancz then started in May 87 to publish the VGSF paperbacks. Just to remind you, this is a later one, not one of the early ones. And they ran from May 87 to December 95. The Gollancz Classics ran from March 86 to December 87, so they overlapped the start of the VGSF paperbacks. They then, if you like, rebranded the series, and last I can't find my copy, and they rebranded it as the VGSF Classics, and they were numbered from 21 to 46 and ran from February 88 to December 90. So when the VGSF Classics started, they had already had several months of the VGSF paperbacks. Right, so as I say, I am not going to cover the Gollancz Classic SF or the VGSF Classics. I will only be covering the VGSF paperbacks, and I will cover the individual volumes in later videos. So the next question I had for myself was, did Gollancz publish anything else while they were publishing the VGSF Classics and the VGSF paperbacks? I tracked down a few, but there are very few, not many. So I'll show you the ones I've tracked down. This is Arthur C. Clarke's Astounding Days. It is an autobiography. It has gone back to more typical Victor Gollancz logo on the spine. And it is, because it's an autobiography, it's not strictly science fiction or fantasy. It's not fiction. So I suspect they decided they could not put it under the imprint, and they published it as a Gollancz paperback. The other thing I will mention about this, it was actually mentioned in the lists inside of books, and I'll just to show you. A lot of books had a list of other books published in VGSF, and that was in one book shown as a VGSF paperback, but obviously they decided not to do it. Another one is this one, In Dreams. It's an anthology edited by Paul Macaulay and Kim Newman. If I read the spiel on the front, a celebration of the 7-inch single in all original SF and horror fiction. So the fact it was SF and horror, maybe they decided it shouldn't go in the VGSF format. Again, VG on the spine rather than a VGSF logo. There was one other one that was listed in VGSF books that was not published as VGSF, and that is this one, Terry Pratchett, Mort the Big Comet. Now I'm not going to take this out because this one has been inscribed by both Terry Pratchett and Graham Higgins. So I'll just show you this, and I don't know whether you can see the spine, but there's no VGSF logo. So you can just there see the logo through the bag. So those were the three that I identified that were listed in other VGSF publications but were not actually published as VGSF. There were a couple of others published, not very many. Most people will be very familiar with these. Here's a first and second printing of each. again with the Victor Gollancz logo on the spine. And there were very few others that I'm aware of, with the exception of Victor Gollancz Horror. Now, I've never collected those. I had a look on the ISFDB before making this, and I think there were 6 listed as VG Horror. I've only got one that I'm aware of that's VG Horror, and that's this one. As you can see, different logo, and it says VG Horror with horror underneath. This was not on the ISFDB as VG Horror. It is, I believe, just listed as Gollancz. So Gollancz produced very few up to December 95, apart from the VGSF paperbacks. So what happened after that? Right. Obviously the publishing industry was going through some changes at the time, and reading stuff on the internet, it appears Gollancz was sold in 1989 to House and Mifflin, in 92 to the Cassell Group, which is the Orion Group, and 96 to Hachette. So obviously they carried on the VGSF through the first couple of those changes, and then they changed. And what I will show you next is this. The Difference Engine by Gibson and Sterling. Now, it was published in hardback by Gollancz, and there was a large, I think B or C format probably, paperback, VGSF paperback. It was then reissued as an A format VGSF paperback, which did run to at least, I think, 2 or 3 in reprints. And then it was published as a Vista, which was owned by the same group, the Cassell Group, and it was a different imprint and a different logo on the spine. There were 1 or 2 other books that were published as a VGSF paperback that were subsequently reissued as a Vista paperback. So as far as I can see, the Vista paperback series was the natural follow-on to the VGSF imprint, and Vista paperbacks were produced from 1996 to 1999. The next bit of information I could find on the internet was that in 1998, I think it was announced that Gollancz would become the SF publisher for the whole group, Hachette Group. And obviously, I'm not certain exactly what the first publications were, but in 1999, they started publishing the Masterworks. So I've never collected these, so I've only got odd ones around my collection. So here, for example, is Robert Silverberg, The Book of Skulls. Notice it's now got the new Gollancz logo on the spine. And in the following year, they started the Fantasy Masterworks. This is one of my duplicates. Again, with the new logo on the spine. Now, I can't say much more about the Masterworks because I haven't collected them, I haven't studied them. But for those who want to see a video about them as opposed to researching it through Google or whatever else you use. I would recommend looking at Richard Rempel's videos on those series. He booktubes as Vintage SF, and from what I could see, they were thorough, comprehensive reviews. So that was that. Obviously, Gollancz then started publishing paperbacks. I'm not certain which year they started, whether 99, 2000, 2001 maybe. They published paperbacks under their own logo. So I've got two examples here. I could have pulled out more. And as you can see, they've got the new Gollancz logo. And basically that has run, or ran for a few years, maybe still running, I'm not sure. And the only other sort of area I will mention is Gollancz 50, with again going back to the old logo, and that they were published in either 2010 or 2011. I'm not sure exactly when they ran, and that was to celebrate 50 years of Gollancz SF. And I think that is as far as I want to go in sort of looking at the past of Gollancz paperbacks. So thank you for that. As I've said, I am new to BookTube. This is my first video. It's been done as one take. I will not be trying to edit. So apologies for any errors or mistakes. By all means, comment if you think I've got something wrong in this video. I will hopefully be doing more videos about VGSF paperbacks, and I will hopefully show you the covers for all 211. I do not know, apart from that, I do not know whether I will ever continue this BookTube channel, but what I would say is if you want to see more about VGSFs or anything else I publish, please subscribe and hopefully add some likes if you enjoyed this video. I think that's all I have to say on this subject at the moment. So thank you for watching. It's Paul Cooper signing off.